5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They are counting down the top entrances in wrestling history. Handling the ring announcing, Jeff Levac.
Gaz.
He's a lot like Mr. Perfect, except for he's not perfect at all.
Vinny.
Dear God, hurry this up. His mom's basement is empty.
Zach. Zach Bye.
The only man who thinks it's a compliment when you say he's got the same hairstyle as Bieber.
Tigman.
You know he chose that name just to make us uncomfortable because it's really close to that one we can't say that starts with it. Yeah, you get that right? Okay.
Tigman.
Now it's time for As the Heel Turns. As the Heel Turns. As the Heel Turns. As the Heel Turns.
I guess that's nice of my co-host Levac making a surprise appearance here on As the Heel Turns. Thank you, Levac.
Thank you,
for
question mark?
Yeah, for those introductions. They were semi-polite, and we are doing the top 5 introductions, the top 5 entrances in wrestling history. I am Gaz, joined by Zach Bye, Vinny, the Tigman, a top 5 list. And if you want to hop on, let us know what you think. Comment on the article below. Whatever you want to do, leave us some notes, what you believe are the top 5 entrances in wrestling history. So we're going to go around today with our 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we're going to talk about our 5 spot first and work through it like that. I will start with my number 5. My number 5, 5th greatest entrance in wrestling history, is the Real American. Hulk Hogan, the champion, the great one. The moves Hogan does, the poses, the flexes, the American flag, it is the most copied, in my opinion. Even if you're not a wrestling fan, you know the Hulk entrance. Hulk Hogan for me is number 5.
I love that. And I just want to say that when I got married, my wife had her fingerprints on most of the wedding, and she said for the entrance that she would let me do whatever we wanted to do. So I went and bought 2 tag team titles, and we came out to Hulk Hogan's theme music, and we in sync did the whole Superman pose, the one to the side, the 1, 2, 3, and then did it on every side the way Hogan used to.
Awesome. I love it.
So you grabbed the best of Rick Derringer from the bargain bin?
Essentially.
On CD, and I'm surprised that it's at number 5. That's
Number 5.
Okay. That's a classic. That theme song. Hogan in the back in the dressing room, and walking out there, and that once that music hits, though, when Real American hits, the crowd would erupt. I mean, it's just something from growing up. That is something I will always remember. Real American and Hulk Hogan. Just an awesome theme.
I'm a little bit embarrassed that it's not on my top 5.
Wow,
it's not on mine either.
And that doesn't mean I don't love it. That doesn't mean I don't love it. But for it just didn't make my cut. When you pick only 5, it's so hair splitting that unfortunately Hogan was left on the cutting room floor.
I just want you to, Vinny and Zach, to go home, say your prayers, and eat your vitamins. That's all I want you two to go. Say your prayers, eat your vitamins, respect Hogan.
And I'll say this about Hogan's music too. Like that was during the age of guys used to come out to the ring without theme music. Once upon a time. So when theme music was becoming a thing, and every guy in that mid '80s, late '80s was getting their own standard music. Hogan's was just synonymous with when that. I mean, you just knew Hulkamania was about to run wild.
Now, not on their list, though, right?
Not on my list.
For me, honestly, I was looking at this. You know what? Theatrically. So, how they made it better. And to be honest, Hogan just walked to the ring and posed. And it's not to say that it was bad, not to say that it, was any worse than other ones. It was just basic.
It's probably the most famous wrestling entrance.
That I would probably argue.
Of pro wrestling. And I guess I should say that it did make my list. Should I say where?
Not yet.
Oh, we're going to wait on it.
We're going to hold off on that. I want to know your guys' number 5. This is going to build for the ones.
Okay, so let's go in clock order here. Okay. Number 5 on my list of the 5th best entrance of all time. This I hope this doesn't throw you for a loop, and I hope I don't lose credibility amongst the group. But it's Goldust. And
no, that's a good one.
Goldust.
Goldie?
Yeah, Goldust. His character, now separate whether you liked him or not, just the overall drama of the entire process of him coming to the ring. First of all, the screen goes to wide frame.
Shattered Dreams
Productions. It goes to widescreen. It starts to move in this. I don't even know what like chromatic thing it starts to do. Things are moving kind of slower. The dust is falling, and it felt a little bit. Let me put it like this: the entrance almost felt bigger than the wrestler himself, and for me, that's why it's number 5 on my list.
You know, it almost made my list. I thought about Goldust because I remember I was in the Goldust for a while, and I remember.
Were you?
I thought not in that way. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but not in that way. But I did like his entrance, and I did consider it, but I said, no way. There's so many other more better entrances to put on, and you only have 5, so I didn't include it.
As a non-fan of Goldust, that's the only thing I liked about Goldust. Like, it was the movie, because he was like supposed to be this like Oscar trophy come to life, and that was the closest he could get to being the actual movie.
Well, and if you remember, they had the director chairs too.
Yeah.
And on the back of it had their name, and Marlena would smoke a cigar in the ring with him. That is just like classic entrance.
Remember
stuff.
when Warrior stole the cigar? It was smoking it in the face of Goldust.
Yes, I remember that.
Vinny, what is your number 5?
Okay, my number 5. Honestly, I think this is going to be a curveball for everyone. I'm going to paint the picture to Extreme Rules, or One Night Stand, I should say, 2005. The main event of the night was the Dudley Boys versus Tommy Dreamer, and my number 5, the Sandman.
Ooh, the Sandman.
Sandman coming in at number 5 for one reason. First off, ECW, they didn't have to worry about the copyrights. They're not as big as WWE, WWF. They played Metallica, Enter Sandman, which made it better, in my opinion, because he is the Sandman. But not just that. The way he comes to the ring. I mean, I'm assuming everybody has seen One Night Stand 05.
Yes, he's jumping through the ring, smashing the beers on his head.
Hammerstein Ballroom.
Doing all that stuff. Here's what and this is, I guess I should know this, but I really have to question, who started it? Was it Sandman or was it Austin? Did the WWE steal from Sandman to do that whole thing?
I've heard this brought up before. They did not. The one thing is, that is why Sandman didn't come to WWE. Because who's going to be better, Austin or Sandman? He's going to get buried in WWE. And Austin didn't start doing the beer thing until what? 97?
Hold on. If Vince wanted Sandman, he would have got Sandman.
You're right. He would have. You're right.
Yeah.
But what do you do with Sandman? Do you do like he did in WCW, hardcore hack?
Well, I'll say this. I feel like I'm always disagreeing with your list, Vinny. So,
That's what makes it good. That's
Yeah,
what
I'll
we
Kendo stick you to the head.
I honestly don't remember anything noteworthy about Sandman's entrance.
He used to come in through the crowd, though.
Yeah,
didn't he? With
smoking
the
a
kendo
cigarette
stick.
with the
was
kendo
cool.
stick.
That was
the
cool. I
beer.
remember he used to come through the crowd. But the 5th greatest of all time?
Yeah.
All right. I can't tell you that's not your favorite entrance.
It gets the crowd going. I'll give you this. If
thing.
I said at an ECW event, if I got in my time machine and went back, I would be jacked for the Sandman entrance. Like, I could not wait for that dude to come through.
Here is what I want everybody listening to do. Go onto YouTube and type in ECW 2005 One Night Stand and that match. Find the actual entrance because they dubbed over it on the network. You don't get the vibe on the network. The entire crowd, 6,000 people singing the song.
It's sick. It's
you
awesome.
have to watch it.
What did they dub it over with?
Just some commercial, just something that sounds somewhat similar to Enter Sandman, but off a beat.
That's the terrible thing about
They do it with
the network.
everything.
And you have to for legality purposes. But geez, that totally ruins the whole.
It does.
You know,
the whole
vibe.
atmosphere of it. And we're not dumb enough now in 2017. There's YouTube.
Right.
We can find it, WWE.
You got to go live and you'll hear it.
Number 5 on your list, Tig.
Time to play the game.
Ooh, Triple H.
Number 5.
When that song comes on, come on, the adrenaline gets going.
Oh, yeah.
Triple H coming in with to Motorhead and the original game entrance, not the one. I like the most recent one. What's the
King of Kings thing? That
the
whole
King
thing?
of Kings
Yeah,
is
yeah,
cool
yeah.
too, but again, it's also Lemmy and Motorhead, which makes it cool. But I love the original.
When the water comes out of his mouth,
Yeah.
like, some people like have asked him before, right? Like, how do you do that? And he's like, I have water in my mouth and I spit it out. Like, they think it's a trick.
Yeah.
I was on a bus to the Pinstripe Bowl in New York City 2 years ago. Bus was getting rowdy. WWE entrances hit, and someone hit the Triple H one, and they did the full thing, and they spit the water at me. Again, a random stranger did it to me, and
wow.
I felt like I should be pissed at the guy.
Yeah.
But I'm like, yo, that was awesome. That was so cool.
Do it to me again.
True Mark.
Missed me.
In true Mark fashion,
Yeah,
right there.
true.
It was fine that a stranger spit in his face. Oh my God!
You know
Just
what?
because it resembled what Triple H did.
Triple H is on my list. He's a little bit later, and we'll get to it. But Triple H's entrance, he's got a lot of things going for him. He has such a presence about him physically. The music is going, and then also the way that over the years that water spitting has taken on a life of its own. It crescendos to that moment, and I feel like when you go to a baseball game, there's a couple standard things that you do. You do the seventh inning stretch. You do the wave. When you go to wrestling and you get to go see Triple H, that's like one of the staple points, and that's why you see so many flashbulbs go off, because it truly encompasses a moment of professional wrestling, and it like unto its own. Like if you saw just if someone was showing you a montage of 1 second clips of a bunch of different stimulating things, and for one of those seconds it was Triple H doing that, you'd be able to recognize it because it leaves such an impression on you over the years.
Let me just say this. Out of all four of us, I guarantee you we've all done this. Who has gotten in the shower and done that in the shower?
Dude, this was a lifestyle of mine in college. Like, this is not like in the shower. No, this was between 1 and 4 every single weekend. Like the shirt was getting torn off to Hogan's music, and we were doing Triple H's water spit. That was life.
I have never done it in the shower, but that is
Guys!
I have not, but I've done this guy before.
You do what?
Yeah, scratch that. Make sure we edit that out real quick.
No.
The number 4 entrance on my list. I've impersonated this guy's entrance, I think, more than anybody else's. And it's just me flexing and going nuts. It's one of my favorite wrestlers growing up. It is the Ultimate Warrior. Now, here's the thing about the Ultimate Warrior's entrance. Is it flashy? Can you actually take a picture of him? Not really, because he's running full speed like a nut to the ring. Like, that entrance alone, thinking back as a kid, that's why I like the Ultimate Warrior. It had nothing to do with how he wrestled. The face paint was cool. It had nothing to do with the promos. But because he was so crazy running to the ring, that's why I like the Ultimate Warrior.
This is what made this a little difficult putting this list together, because you can think of your favorite wrestlers, you can think of the song that you like, or the actual entrance. And I thought about Ultimate Warrior. The music is killer, and him running down, he made a grand entrance like none other. I mean, that was just awesome. And of course, he deserves to be on the list.
And he's on my list too. He's a little bit further down. But the Ultimate Warrior, there's one thing about him is, like, he was never short on energy. And I'm convinced, like, if you would have told me a wrestler in the 1980s is sprinting 78 miles per hour to the ring, I'm saying, okay, how much blow did he just shove in his nose? But the Warrior was just, like, naturally high on, like, those Warrior vibes.
You're telling me that he wasn't snorting coke before he went through the curtains?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe he
He had a heart attack at 54. He was snorting coke.
I think he did. He may have had his issues with the drugs back in the day.
Maybe he did, but I'm just saying, that energy reverberates throughout the entire arena, and when someone is that over the top energetic, it has no other option but to rub off on everyone else. And I think he had an impact. Like, that was a moment, and it happened so quickly. And then the shaking of the ropes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That was so cool.
I don't want to tell you what I was shaking in college, because I could still probably be arrested for the couches and exit signs. I just said it out loud, so it doesn't matter now. Zach, you're number 4 on your list.
Number 4 on my list is When You Hear the Glass, That's Your Ass. Stone Cold Steve Austin. And, his music was rather basic, but the way that it started with the glass, you knew that shit was about to pop off. Yep. And that was the ultimate, like, sign. And it was just almost like a 1 second ping, like, and then here he comes. And then the times that they've actually, I can think back to, I remember when I think he faced Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13, is it?
Yep.
And when they had the Austin 316 and the glass actually shattered. But also, I think of Austin's presence at the time and how over he was, and how, the noise instantaneously put a jolt of energy into the crowd, and he was going to come and beat someone's ass. And I just, for that, Austin for me, such a positive association with that glass shattering.
Sorry,
I
guys.
was going to say, I have Austin on my list. I'm going to back off a little bit because he's coming very soon on mine. So I'll just leave it at that.
He's
I'm gonna
coming
say
soon on
5%.
mine, too. But Austin, one thing I want to say, some of the biggest pops that you have ever heard in wrestling. I mean, the night Mick Foley won his first title, the roof almost exploded off that building. At least that's how JR made it seem. Also, Backlash 2000, when he finally comes in after being advertised to stop the McMahons, the evil tyrants. Or get this, before Backlash, Linda McMahon just said his name, and the arena went psychotic.
And think about it. It only took 1 second for everyone to know
It was
what
Austin.
was going on.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't some build up. It was boom. He's here. Like, it's happening right now. Like, get with it. It's Austin. The glass just shattered.
Yep.
By the way, before I get to my number 4, I would just like to say I also still to this day, multiple times, probably a week, listen to Disturbed Glass Shatters, his theme from 2001.
I think every show on Q and 104.5 team should start with the Austin entrance. And we walk in, start stuttering people, and set the tone early.
Austin didn't make my list.
Whoa.
Are you having regret or no?
Nah, but you know what it is? Because I have just so many. I'm more with the older school of wrestling.
Definitely.
So I have a lot more. I'll tell you. My list pretty much has more of the more old school wrestlers. But you can't deny the time that Stone Cold Steve Austin was in there and his feud with Vince McMahon. I mean, was some of the best.
The
times
beer
in
truck
wrestling.
at the TU.
The Attitude Era with him, some of the best times. And I didn't really think about his theme though when I put this list together. The glass shattering was great.
I have a theory on why you might have left it off. I'm going to save that for about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Vinny, your number 4.
All right, so my number 4, you're going back to WCW, 97, 98, 99 even, 2003 in the WWE, and maybe a few weeks at the Rumble, Bill Goldberg. You got to think, WCW, how many entrances can you honestly think of from WCW that are notable? I can think of maybe 2.
Maybe the NWO.
That's the only other one.
And maybe Sting's crazy
Right,
nonsense
right.
from the rafters, whatever he used to, which was actually pretty awesome as a kid.
But Goldberg, to come out and stand in the pyro. Now, I used to work with metal every day, and I will tell you, metal shavings, which is what he was getting hit with,
and still is, right?
They,
Right,
Still is.
yeah.
they hurt. They do not feel pleasant. So for him to stand in that pyro, and then it stops, he breathes out like a dragon, all the smoke, kicks his feet, and boom, boom, boom.
And not only that, though, Vinny,
The
but
backstage.
the backstage with
Yeah.
with all eyes on Goldberg.
All the security guards. I mean, I watched a few weeks ago the Georgia Dome show where he beat Hogan. The walk to the ring. They had to restart his music before he even got to the ramp. It's just, there's something amazing. And his music, too. I mean, it just fit him so well.
I don't believe Goldberg has the best, but it is my personal favorite entrance. Like, if you told me, guys, you have to pick an entrance to walk out, that I want the Goldberg treatment.
I'm going to go home and do his entrance
I
and
want
fall over kicking
that-
something.
Yes, I want that, because here's the thing, like, a good entrance, like, people turn off the lights, people do this. No one's ever tried to copy the Goldberg entrance.
They can't.
Like, you go backstage, no one's even tried it. That shows how good that entrance was.
I have immediate remorse of not putting Goldberg on my list as soon as you said that. And I'm not gonna lie, for whatever reason he did not come to my mind. But when he used to exhale out of his nose and blow that smoke, and he did that thing when he was coming out, and I don't know where he came up with it, but he used to take his hands and put it in the middle of his chest and then like bring them out, and blossom his hands. If you know Goldberg, you know what I'm talking about. He'd start in the middle of his chest, and then he'd like blossom them out, and then he'd bring them back and did like the safe sign, like he'd do like the boom, and then he used to synchronize his punches with the explosions. And then the fact that it wasn't just someone getting him from the locker room, that it was law enforcement that
Yes.
used to get him
Yes.
out of the locker room.
Yep.
I think just put that touch of this man's uncontrollable, and he's coming out there to wreck shit, and the only people that can bring him to the ring is an officer of the law.
I have to agree with Zach, not putting him on my list too. Kind of like a little bit of a regret. Because
Honorable mentions.
It's just an amazing. It's an amazing wrestling entrance.
Who is on your list at number 4?
On my list, number 4. Ooh, yeah. Randy Savage.
Macho Man. Ooh, yeah.
Also on
Pomp
Coke
and
in the 80s.
Circumstance. Come on. That great theme, the classical Pomp and Circumstance.
Bam, 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 bam,
You know, the finger in the air, spinning around with the robe.
Like, I think I'm so creative.
coffee in the big time.
When I go to graduations, I think I'm so funny every time. Like, oh, they're playing the Macho Man song. Every time.
like waiting for him to come out.
Yeah. You know, and the lovely Miss Elizabeth at his side back in the day. I mean, just a great entrance and a great wrestler.
You mentioned the finger.
Yeah.
He had the most flexible finger I've ever seen. Like his finger used to rotate in like a crazy motion. Like it was very flexible. But yeah, that was a cool. He took a song that is a customary slow motion, and he made it his own.
Yeah.
Like he was the man. I love. He's top 5 for me. I love Macho.
No doubt.
My number 3, I'm going back to a guy you just had on your list. Vinny had him on the list. Austin, right? Austin's here at number 3 for me. Here's my theory behind the Austin intro. The glass shattering's awesome. It's great. Like Zach said, you know when he's coming out. But how much of it was really Jim Ross? That's what I really wonder about the Austin intro of, by God, it's Austin's. Like, that whole, Stone Cold! You could have been playing circus music. Da-da-da-da-da-da. And, like, if Jim Ross is yelling like that, I'm still going nuts. So I don't know if it's the entrance so much of Jim Ross making Austin's entrance amazing. I don't know the answer to that, but I know I like listening to Jim Ross.
It's a good point you make. Good
Isn't
point.
that cool? Isn't that cool, though, how it's almost like Muhammad Ali and Howard Cosell. You know, they're associated together, and they were such good friends off camera, and even it bled to on camera. But I think it made JR want to sell Austin more than any other wrestler that he ever announced. And I'm with you. Like, I felt like if you put one of those like monitors on the arm of JR for his blood pressure, like that was like full on like cardiac arrest when like JR heard the glass, let alone the fans.
What is number 3 on your list, Zach?
Mine is number 3 on my list is the Warrior, and we already touched on him a little bit, but the energy matched the character and matched the wrestler in the ring. You know, it was over the top, it was frenetic pace, and it basically just infused the crowd. And Warrior, like Austin during those days when you heard the glass, was so over. I mean, Warrior was the most over wrestler in 1989, in 1990, leading up to WrestleMania 6. And those entrances, there was only one like it. You know, they tried to have replications. You said, hey, you know, they've never tried to duplicate Goldberg. And you're absolutely right. Unfortunately for WWF and WWE, they did try to replicate that on a couple occasions, and I think can think of like the Berserker or someone like that, whose character they just said, hey, go do what Warrior does, and they look foolish for doing it, and for that reason, he's number 3 on my list.
Number 3 on my list, it's Austin. Me and you guys. Austin,
Hey,
number
look at
3. Same thing, as we have touched on him. There's not a whole lot more you could say about the man, but you just got to think. For a 4-year period, 5-year period or something, that man dominated wrestling. Goldberg looked like him. Now, I don't believe that was on purpose. But still, like, WCW's in a way trying to copy that. They were trying to copy.
Do you think so that they were trying to copy
I
that?
think that in a sense they were. The man looked similar.
I know. You know what? And I remember the conversations during those days, and we were younger at the time. It was almost like if you had the action figures, you could get them confused.
Yes.
You know.
I
mean?
used to do that anyway.
Yeah, and like if one broke, okay, well Goldberg's going to be Austin tonight.
Take off the braces.
Yeah,
But character on character, they're much different. I mean, one's
it could be
yeah.
more
Vaseline
different.
and
Couldn't be
one's-
more different.
Yeah.
But you got to think 98 biggest star WCW Goldberg, 98 biggest star in WWF Austin.
But that's what made wrestling so good at that time, because if you were a WCW guy, you were a Goldberg
Yes.
guy. And if you were a WWE guy, you were an Austin guy. And that's what, if they did that intentionally, somebody was smart, much smarter than us.
Until Vince Russo got there.
Right. Take number 3 on your list.
Number 3 on my list. I still can't believe he's not around anymore. Still hurts. Cue the bagpipes. Hot Rod. Rowdy Roddy Piper. I mean, those bagpipes. And him coming down, one of the greatest heels of all time, the great Roddy Piper.
When it's St. Patrick's Day, and I grew up in like a area in Syracuse where Tipperary Hill is insane. It's so Irish, and this is not a joke. It is so Irish. There are parts in Tipperary Hill where the lights are green on top of red. So when you hit the traffic light, it is not red, yellow, green. It is green, yellow, red.
Wow.
That's how Irish it is in Tipperary Hill. And people would actually throw, the story goes, they would throw rocks at the red on top of the yellow and the green because they didn't like it until they actually switched. When they hit the Piper music on Tipperary Hill, I'm again yelling out, "Oh my God, it's Roddy Piper!" Like, clearly people shouldn't hang out with me for big events like graduations and St. Patrick's Day because I'm a commuting area, comparing everything to wrestling themes.
You make
I love
us
hot
look
rock.
horrible, guys.
True, I do. I do all
I
that.
mean, being in this radio business for years, doing remotes on St. Patty's Day. Come on, guys! When you see the bagpipers come in and they're playing, tell me you're not thinking of Roddy
You're
Piper.
thinking of him.
Yeah, and like Macho, the bagpipes themselves are a little bit like unto itself, totally separate from wrestling, a little bit slow moving.
Yeah.
But Piper was frenetic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just like Macho was, so he made that music his own. Just like, Pomp and Circumstance is something totally different, but when you hear it, you only associate it with Macho. Same thing with the bagpipes. He was such a great character. That entrance, when you hear that, you only think of Piper.
Now, did Piper make anybody else's list or no?
No,
He
no
didn't make
Piper on
mine.
my list.
Okay.
And I'm
He
going to
did
move
not.
on to number 2 on my list.
Yeah.
And it is Goldberg here. I have Goldberg at 2. And I know earlier in the podcast here I said nobody in wrestling has ever copied the Goldberg entrance, but the UFC in boxing copies the entrance. If you watch the UFC,
Oh, yeah.
they follow the guys and they have the security. Boxing does the same thing, which as growing up as a fight fan, that's what I thought when I saw Goldberg. Oh, this is a fight. Like, this isn't
Yeah.
professional wrestling anymore.
This is a real fight.
Right, and there's something great about those wrestlers, and I tell this to my friends all the time. When you've crossed over in wrestling where you think, oh, this is real. Like, he's not messing around. There are times when CM Punk did it more recently. Like, he's not messing around. Steve Austin's going after the actual boss. He's not Goldberg had that. So the fight, Lesnar a little bit now too. When the fight enters it and you're like, this isn't no longer staged, that's what made that entrance so cool. It was a real beast going to the ring.
Well, they did something similar in WWE prior, where they would follow, like, say, Hogan. They would follow him to the ring.
Yeah,
but
they
it's
did
not
occasionally.
the same,
No,
though.
it's not. It's not because it almost felt like it wasn't it was like a live look in.
Right. That was WWE copying boxing.
Yeah, right. And then also earlier we said, hey, they haven't tried to duplicate Goldberg's, and I remembered someone who they did.
Gilbert?
Gilbert.
With the sparklers.
Zach knew right immediately.
And he would
Gilbert.
his heart he would collapse with fear when the fireworks went off.
Had the dotted line going across his arm.
Number 2 on your list. Is it Gilbert? I hope it's Gilbert.
He's the longest reigning light heavyweight champion of all time.
Shut your
hey,
effing mouth.
You gotta watch when he debuts at Survivor Series '98 when they
Yeah, Dwayne Gill.
when Vince McMahon hypes him up like the greatest athlete, and then Gilbert.
And this
that's
5'4"
right, that's right.
guy that weighs 110 pounds comes out.
Number 2 on my list is a name that we've mentioned already here tonight. Is Triple H, and I'll just reiterate: Triple H. Even if you're not a wrestling fan, you have had the Triple H experience because his entrance, especially the crescendo with the water, it's become so popular that, like, my wife, who doesn't know jack shit about wrestling, if you showed her again a 1-second splice of that, she would be able to. It's almost like seeing Michael Jordan's face. I know who that is. You know what I mean? And you show a second of Triple H. I know what that is. That is Triple H. He's number 2 on my list. The combination of the character, the presence, the physicality, and the music, along with the extra, pyrotechnics and the theatrics. And here's another thing. The amount of crowd recognition that he got. I mentioned the flashbulbs, but that is the moment where everyone pulls out their phone and makes sure to capture that moment. Forget the match. They're trying to capture a moment before it even starts. I think that's the coolest thing.
Now, what song do you prefer? To play the time to play the game or King of Kings?
Yes, no.
Yeah,
Time to play the game.
okay,
Motorhead, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Now, number 3 on my list, also.
Two.
Okay, well, yeah, he's better than 3. Also Triple H. Number 2 on my list. And you know what? Here's my thing. You look back. Okay, maybe not when he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, but DX. Amazing entrance. One of my honorable mentions. Triple H with My Time Is Now. Yet again, fit him so well, and he made it work. On top of that, the game. It's timeless. King of Kings even. Not as good as the game, but it works, and it works for a heel Triple H more. But like with the Authority using that, it's just something about Motorhead that works so well. That is his favorite band, and it's just awesome. Number 2, Triple H, all day.
We're going to Tig's number 2, and there's a chance that right now we all have one person who's not been named yet.
Wait, hold on. Can I just say one thing? Can I say one thing about Triple H? You were just talking.
Yeah.
And take. I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
When Triple H came back. Remember when Triple H went away for a while with
January 7th, 2002, Madison Square Garden.
Look at Vinny. When he came and he had the leather jacket with a f***ing jean jacket over that thing. Do you remember what a pop? You talk about a pop? He had a vest. He had a jean vest over the leather jacket. Hair like he just stepped out of the shower, right? Of course. And that to me, when I think of pops, when I think of returns, that might be number 1 of all time. Sorry, Tig.
Especially at the Garden.
That's right. I went back and forth on this because it was
I wish we were going to pop, by the way, like that one day. I hope this podcast, when it hits like the air, we're going to pop like Agent 02.
Right? I went back and forth with 1 and 2 because I said to myself, am I going to pick my favorite wrestler and associate the theme song, his entrance song, as being the greatest because he's my favorite wrestler? Or am I going to go with the song that I think is one of the most iconic, not my favorite wrestler, but most iconic? And this is how it shaped up. Number 2 is Real American from Hulk Hogan.
Hey, there it is.
Just one of the most iconic entrances ever. And kudos to Rick Derringer. I've seen him in concert. He plays that song.
I love it. Every time the Hulk Hogan, it's like a distinct song too. Like even if you are not a wrestling fan, when you hear that, whoever you are, will hit the post. And I hope
you're tearing the shirt
yeah,
off.
I hope when I get married, I'm going to be like Zach By and hit that when I walk out.
Yeah, and I feel like that's one like you play at like a bar in Long Island at 2:30 in the morning. You're gonna have like 400 white guys like ripping off their shirts.
All right, so we're down to number 1, and I don't want to like jump ahead on anybody here, but I have a feeling all of us have the same number 1. I could be wrong, but I think we may all have the same number 1. My number 1. Go ahead, Vinny.
Quick. Does anybody else have an honorable mention? I mean, because I've been right along making an honorable mention, and I got a couple. One that you're gonna love, guys.
I had Michaels and Daniel Bryan as my only 2 honorable mentions.
I have Shawn Michaels, Rey Mysterio, and The Shield.
All good ones. I think, I like the Shield coming through the crowd. Michaels was cool. The whole, singing the theme. And then Daniel Bryan, the yes chant. Because when his music hit the last, 36 months, people lost their minds to do the yes chant.
Yeah.
My number 1, and we'll see if you guys agree with this, I'm not a huge fan of him as a wrestler, but if I bought a ticket and got to go to WrestleMania, I'd say, all right,
I know this.
I want to just go to Mania to see this. And this may be the only reason he is still on the card. And it's The Undertaker. Lights go out. The gong hits. The slow walk to the ring. The Taker has made his entrance over, 3 decades it seems? Be the thing in the W. Taker, number 1 for me.
I've seen that live at a Mania, too, so
I'll
get back to that in a second.
I've seen that live on a handful of occasions. And guys, I'll say this to you. He's number 1 on my list, too. And I think that for me, and I only speak for me personally, I had to stop myself for a second and say, you know what? If you put anyone else but him at number 1, you're trying to be smarter than smart. You're trying to, you can't see the forest through the trees. His entrance has become as big as the match itself. It's a short movie, and when you can capture people's attention, not only in 1992 but in 2017, millennials, for 6 minutes at a single clip without doing anything over the top theatrical, he literally just walks to the ring slowly. You think about it fundamentally, what is he actually doing? Well, he's just taking his time walking to the ring. But remember, Undertaker, in theory, is a dead man. And it almost felt like a funeral when I was younger. It felt like Paul Bear's walking to the funeral. And Undertaker, he's coming in at a time where, this wasn't being done. These over-the-top entrances, I could think of maybe Macho King or things like that. But as far as, putting full-scale production value, lining up druids all up and down the aisle, the just overall presence of the wrestler and the entrance, I don't think it can be duplicated, not ever, and that's why he's number 1 on my list.
Number 1 on my list, also Undertaker, and the reason is it's just so obvious. like you were saying, all the production value they put into this. Think about WrestleMania 24. Or not 24. I'm thinking of the other 2014. All the caskets lined up, popping open one after one after one. And then the final one getting set on fire being Lesnar. Now, that didn't happen. At least him beating Lesnar.
Right.
But Taker, the entrance, it's more his character than his in-ring work. I've seen it live. I was at WrestleMania 20, Madison Square Garden. That was his first entrance like that in years. So to be able to see that and hear Paul Bearer come across the loudspeakers with the lights going off, and the gong and the druids and the flames. It's just Undertaker, in my opinion, I don't personally see how anybody else could have him anywhere but number one because it's so much. Even on Monday Night Raw, it was just amazing. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows the gong. Even non-wrestling fans. I just met a girl, and she's scared of The Undertaker because of his entrance.
Tig, are you going against the grain?
I am going against the grain.
Wow!
Never was a huge Undertaker fan.
You're a dick.
Lots of respect, though. You guys all make very good points. I mean, all these years later, the same entrance, and still as big as ever. Should I go on to mine?
Yeah.
Come on.
Ric Flair, the Nature Boy, the robe coming down. What is it? 2001: A Space Odyssey was the song. I forget what the actual name of the song, actual song was. But growing up as a kid, watching NWA along with WWF, walking out there with the robe and turning around and that music hitting, that always strikes a chord with me. I am the guy that was at the wrestling shows, not the original, but I would go to the wrestling shows holding up the sign that says on the 8th day God created Ric Flair, ringside, Ric Flair pointing to me. I did it another time. He walked over to me. I bowed to him. He shook my hand. It was one of the most amazing moments for me as a wrestling fan. That theme song to me is the greatest.
There's
of all
something
time.
about the Flair strut, the dance, and also the non-pyro. Because the Undertaker, if you don't want to go Undertaker, if you want to say, look, he needs this, he needs the lights off, he needs the music, he needs the casket. Flair didn't need any of it. He himself made his own entrance.
Oh, look at the robe. I mean,
He
the lights on the robe was pyro.
But there's something about that, right? That like you got yourself over and be a superstar by yourself. You did that. Nobody else did it for you, which is amazing.
Last year, I spent more money on spilt liquor.
It's one thing if you're gonna get on Space Mountain. It's totally different if you actually ride Space Mountain.
Ladies, you can never be first, but you can always be next.
My shoes cost more than your house.
The biggest car, on the biggest house, on the biggest hill, on the biggest side of town.
I love it.
We're recapping this list before another 30 minutes of Flair impressions breaks out.
So do you guys all, although it didn't make your list, do you agree it's a great entrance?
It is.
No
It
doubt.
is.
No doubt. Here's my top 5 again. I got Hogan at 5, Ultimate Warrior at 4, Stone Cold Steve Austin at 3, Goldberg at 2, Taker at 1, Michaels and Daniel Bryan honorable mention.
Number 5 for me, Gold Dust. Number 4, Austin. Number 3, The Warrior. Number 2, Triple H. And number 1, the dead man, The Undertaker.
And for me, I've got number 5, The Sandman. Number 4, Goldberg. Number 3, Steve Austin. Number 2, Triple H. And number 1, rest in peace. Taker.
And number 5 on my list, time to play the game, Triple H. Number 4, Randy Savage. Number 3, Roddy Piper. Number 2, Hulk Hogan. Number 1, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
That is this week's As the Heel Turns podcast. Make sure to come back with us in the future. Another top 5 list is on the way. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you again soon.